Alright.
Lewis and I spend a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Again, Inception. Is this like a... Oh no, it actually is like a play on a PlayStation or a Nintendo. Huh. Funny. It's kind of like a PlayStation with the buttons, but... Okay, here we go.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself.
So he had drug problems.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
Unless they're saying hookah is a drug, but...
His mind began to wander. I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads. And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously.
Yep, grab it. There we go.
I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more.
Oh.
I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play.
Oh, okay.
He talked about starting a band. And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won.
Mario!
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
Goodbye, Lewis Topia.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville.
New Louisville.
St. Louis.
St. Louis, that's a real place.
He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
Mom, you're wrecking my imagination city.
In Louisburg, he heard rumors of a...
Ah! This way.
handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for... radiant rainbows.
I know that's super girly, but I didn't want to deal with serpents.
He followed the sound of her electric sitar. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound.
Oh gosh.
He knew the world was all in his imagination.
Eh. Sorry guys, this is hard to do two things at once.
But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace.
There she is.
My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Oh. There's my locker.
He began to forget the world we know. I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker.
Oh, I am in, like, the royal clothes, I think? I can't tell.
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Finch, number 9. 'Cause this is me. Look, I'm not even... This is, like, Louis in real life. Look, this... He's not even chopping stuff anymore.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions.
I like that they have no faces. I like how they dance. They're all so happy. This one kind of looks like Baymax.
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Wow. Thank you! Thank you! Thank you, my people! I love you too! Yes! gentlemen.
His
Thank
queen
you.
waited, holding his crown.
My queen.
There was only one thing left to do.
I like how all the kingdom, even though he hated the cannery, everything involved with this kingdom was fish. She's beautiful!
Bend down his head.
Hello, my lady. I shall serve thee well.
And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
I've said it so far that all these deaths are tragic and dark, but I think out of all of them, that's the darkest one, just because it was kind of by his own accord. Again, if you didn't pick up on the context, he killed himself by putting his head in the fish slicer, which is god awful. I mean, if you or someone you know has any sort of suicidal thoughts, I'm not trying to make a joke here, please call the suicide hotline, seek some therapy, get some help.
He was so proud of being Indian. I think for him, it was a way to be something other than just a finch.
Honestly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Please get support. There's help out there. Oh, Lord. All right.
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder. I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left.
I mean, it's hard, you know? I mean, she lost her kid.
My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
There's a little prayer. To Teach and to Learn by Dawn Finch. There's some vests. I see Melton's tower.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time.
Has
Maybe
it?
Should have come sooner.
Edith. Oh, we're finally getting up to my room.
But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night.
And I think I'm going to leave that for the next time. So I'm going to leave it off here and I'm going to start up the next one. But if you want to leave suggestions of what you want to see me play, write down in the comments, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye!